All right, welcome back to It's Time Picks. We've got UFC Fight Night, Austin Dariush versus Tsarukyan, and I just want to say real quick, Joey's birthday is tomorrow. He's gonna be
Monday,
like 42. That's this weekend, basically.
pretty much.
Uh, yep, he's old,
I'm still cute though.
only sometimes. Anyways, so we got a pretty decent card. 13 fights,
hmm
some good ones, some not so good ones.
Yeah.
Kind of typical for this whole year, actually. But yeah, I mean, unless you got something, we'll jump right into it.
Jump.
All right. So first up, we have Jamie Horth fighting at her normal 125 against Veronica Hardy. Hardy returned last fight after 3 years off. Looked good. Wasn't against the greatest competition, but for 3 years off, she did look good. That said, I am going to be all over Horth on this one. I think she's going to be better everywhere, particularly with the striking, especially at her natural 125. I mean, she's 6-0 for a reason, and I don't see Hardy getting in her way.
So I'm on the same house, and I know I've seen a lot of the public's really on the Hardy train because she has her husband Dan Hardy in her corner, yeah. But now Horf is back in her natural weight. The reason why she fought up was because Haley Cowan decided not learning how to make weight. So I think Horf's gonna potentially demolish this fight, maybe even get a potential finish early. But either way, I think she could be a sneaky start off value at her price tag at 8,500.
Absolutely, I definitely agree. Especially if she comes out really quick, which she has been known to do if you go and rewatch her fights. But yeah, so very first fight, we are in agreement. We are going with the favorite, Jamie Lynn Horth. Next up, we've got a fight that I actually like probably more than others. Wellington Turman against Jared Gooden, and I want to hear your side first.
I know Jared Gooden, he's an athletic guy, he's fast and striking, sneaky power, but I think that's the only thing he really necessarily has. He has decent takedown defense here and there. Wellington Turman, ever since switching camps to Glover and with now 205-pound champion, Mr. Alex Pereira. Um, his game has been evolving as of late. You see him slowly picking up some of the strikes that even Pereira does, especially with the lead leg, where he tries to hit the lead leg of his opponent to stop the movement. But I'm actually gonna be on Wellington Turman, mainly due because I believe this is a shorter notice fight for Gordon. And inside the UFC for Gordon, there's times where he can get taken down, and you don't
Gooden,
want to get taken down. Who am I saying?
Gooden.
Oh, Gooden. Yeah, Gordon. Keep thinking about Jared Gordon for some reason lately. But yeah, Jared Gooden. I keep saying Gordon again. Jesus. But yeah, Gooden. Take down the fences iffy at times. And if you really have Wellington Turman stuck on top on mount, or even potentially when they're dry on their back, there's a good probability that he could get submitted. So I'm going more towards Turman, but I could see this fight potentially going longer. I don't potentially see it early finish, maybe like over like 1.5 type of range. And if Gooden wins, I think he's potentially going to chin check him. If he doesn't, there's a good chance he either gets submitted early if he gets his back taken, or it's going to be a low scoring type Wellington type fight, trying to just hold him so he doesn't get hit. And I will say
Young,
there's value in Gooden if you are on the Gooden side.
that was a lot of nonsense for Wellington Turman at 9K that you're not even going to play.
I'm not playing it, but
Yeah, no, I'm actually opposite of you.
really,
And I'm going to preface this by saying only if Gooden makes weight.
yep.
That is it. He came into his
Well, you can say
last
that about
fight.
a few other fighters on this card.
Yeah, we'll get to those later. But
Yep.
he came into his last fight 7 pounds over and lost. He was definitely not in the greatest shape. Granted, I think that was also on short notice.
hmm
If he checks in at the limit, I am all over Gooden. I think that his takedown defense and his wrestling is good enough to avoid being submitted, and he's light years ahead of Turman on the feet. And I think Gooden's only 72.
Yep. That's why I said good value.
He is one of my favorite dogs on the card, and I'll probably have a good share of him.
I don't mind that. And usually when I see Gooden on a card, I'm always like, oh, the Gooden train, yeah. But if this was like more of like a non-short notice fight, because most of his UFC fights, which I feel bad for him. Or when he takes a fight on short notice, which
Correct.
absolutely sucks. You get this man a full camp, then we can have a full conversation. But because outside UFC, he has plenty of success. Comes back in, he always decides to take short notice shit. But yeah, I think I'm just as I said, a value, great value. Um, like I said, I think he's gonna need to get a finish under 1.5 potentially. But
So we are split on the pick. I'm going with the dog and Gooden. You've got the favorite and Turman. Next up, we have Eor Poteria and Rodolfo Bellato or Bellato. Um, Poteria hasn't done anything in the UFC except for beat a 50-year-old Shogun.
yep,
Yeah, I love Bellato or Billy by
no
Bellato.
doubt. Let's say the
Not even sure how it is.
Lotto or
Yeah, no, I love Bellato in this fight. He lost his first contender series fight against Vitor Petrino, who we
oh,
all
he
know is
also his two losses are both from Petrino.
and we all know that Petrino is actually a pretty damn good fighter. So that's a good loss. And then he came back again,
Had a better fight
almost
with him.
a year later, and he took on Tala and completely smashed him. And I fully expect more of the same in this fight. Bellato is going to just blow Pateria right up.
Out.
And you can say that Pateria could easily do the same, but after what I've seen from him in the UFC, he's way too wild. He's just going to get chin checked.
I don't even need to say mine. So it's pretty simple. I'm all gonna be over Beltello. Like I said, the second fight with Petrino impressed me the most because yeah, even though he lost, he actually chin checked him. He actually had him down. He actually had him in trouble. But Petrino got back up, been doing what he's been doing inside the UFC, especially his last fight against Kalkis. Good Lord Jesus. But yeah, I think he's probably gonna be one of my main locks on any line, whatever I do. He's gonna be like the first guy I'm gonna click on at 96. And other guys underneath, so we can probably get over that when we get there, but he's probably my favorite play. And people are like, oh, but he's the highest. He's gonna pay that price tag off. Don't second guess. I know if you're in these major giant GPPs, if you think Eor could potentially chin check, that's always a possibility because from what I've seen, Rodolfo and every fight does get touched a little bit because he leaves his shin high, but I don't see him having an issue in this fight.
Yep, I agree. So both of us going with the favorite in Bellato. Next up, we got Steve Garcia against Melquizael Costa. And who you got in this one?
So I'm gonna maybe hop on board on this trend and join the team of Alvera, whoever his fighters are. He's Costa is one of his fighters. I went against I went against. I think you picked one of his other teammates, the one that knocked out the early contender guy when I was in Tennessee.
I don't
Uh,
remember.
I forget his name. Oh, Elvis Brunner. How you picked because he's the same team as Oliveira. That whole team's been winning fights outside of the guy at 125 who's fighting again. He gets finished within like 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm hopping on the train. I'm going Costa, not because of that necessarily, but I think Costa is the more well-rounded guy. Steve, you can't underestimate him. He's also a great value at 73 because he's the bigger dude. He's gonna have the more power, and there's times where Costa does leave his hands down. And I don't. People are gonna say, "Oh, what if Steve's chin?" Sooner or later you're gonna get caught. I don't say he's necessarily chinny, but I think Costa could win. I don't think he finishes Garcia. If he does, maybe late. I'm not probably not gonna play him at 8,900. But if I had to find my way to get down and I needed a dog that could do it, I would say Steve because even in a loss, he's gonna fight for your money about it.
Okay.
But I got Costa.
I am once again different from you. Garcia is the better fighter. Garcia has plus 90% takedown defense for a reason. He has a knockdown in every fight that he wins. He has a knockout in every fight that he wins in the UFC. And Costa is still, to me, too green for the UFC. He came out and beat Austin Lingo. Not much of a test. Lingo's not that great of a fighter. In his debut, he got beat by Thiago Moises. Good grappler, lost that fight, but Garcia is a completely different animal in this case. He's a striker and he's got a shit ton of power. I don't see Costa getting out of the first or second.
Oh, you got some dog. You hear? Oh, do I expect some dogs barking tonight? Maybe.
I told
Ooh,
you I had three dogs that I really like.
okay.
Next up, we got Joe Selecki against Drakkar Close. I have Selecki in this one. Close. Well, I think what was the last time we fought? I know it was like a year and a half ago. I think now.
Was it against Brendan Jenkins? No.
No, it was Rafa. Yeah, it was back in July of 2022, and it was a win. He did look good in that fight. My only issue now is that he is creeping up in age. I think he's 35. His takedown defense is suspect. He was taken down three times by Rafa, and
Three
Selecki
for
is right.
13.
And Selecki is better than Rafa at wrestling and definitely at grappling. Um, if Close can keep this on the feet, yeah, he can absolutely knock Selecki out. Selecki does not have the best chin. He doesn't have the best striking, but I fully expect him to keep this on the mat and at least control enough to win 2 rounds.
Yeah, I'm also on the Selecki train. If like I said, if close, I know the car close takedown defense has been better lately. And like I said, against Garcia, only allowing 3 takedowns out of 13. That's always good sign. But Selecki needs to get at least early success with the striking, because if he just thinks that, oh, I can just shoot in whenever I want, Close is going to keep timing it. He's going to keep it on his feet. Probably going to win a boring decision, not score anything for anything. But for DFS plays, Selecki also is another good sneaky lock. I know everyone says, oh, go ahead and try to target the 82 and 8,000 fight. Usually the 79-83 is the lower owner fight out of the two, usually. And I think Selecki, especially if he gets his wrestling involved, even in let's say he wins a 3-round decision, gets about 3 to 5 takedowns, I think that easily smashes value with control and even maybe with a lace finish. Yeah, I'm over Selecki.
So both of us going with the dog and Selecki. Next up, we have a fight that I am not a fan of at all because I'm absolutely tired of watching Cody Brundage fight. But it's Brundage against Zach Reese. Zach Reese is making his debut after a beautiful armbar in the Contender Series. I'm actually really impressed with Zach Reese overall. I've watched a few of his fights now, and he finishes everything for one. Obviously, his competition hasn't been absolutely amazing because they've been on other circuits, but Fury isn't anything really to sneeze at.
No.
And then he won on the Contender Series against a guy that was also undefeated. Cody Brundage is a disaster at this point. He lost 3 in a row, then he came out and won barely by a DQ. So he got awarded a win, and it somehow kept his ass in the UFC. And I do not have any faith in him at all. I fully expect him to be once again gassed out after round one. And Zach Reese, if he hasn't already, he's going to put his ass out.
Yeah, I'm on Zach Reese, even though like I was talking up how I felt earlier, how his
You
style
don't
is.
even have to go there.
I don't even have to go there, but it's just it's okay. I'll say this right now: if Cody had any type of fight IQ on paper, as a talent, he has his own skills, good wrestling, good power in his hands, but he has zero IQ. He's one of the worst IQ fighters I've ever seen. With all that potential talent he has with him, but ugh.
Yeah. So both of us going with the favorite and Zach Reese. Don't overlook that one. Brunch is it's just not great. Next up, we have two aging fighters in Misha Tate and Julia Avila. Misha is 37 or 38, and Avila is 35. So
Yep.
I don't have a whole lot of entertainment value in this fight, but who you got?
Like before, like, I had originally had this as a potential sneaky play. Um, I'm still picking Julia Avila. Tate looks like the last few fights she doesn't even want to be in the octagon.
Yep.
Like, and I hate to see that because I've always been a Misha Tate fan
Yep.
since day one,
Okay.
and just seeing her last 2 fights, it looks like if she can't get any type of wrestling or takedowns going, she looks like an absolute lost period of time who needs to sit down. And if that type of Tate comes out of this fight, I think Avilio is absolutely going to let the hands fly on her bad. Very bad. Something that I may not want to see, but I think Avilio could absolutely touch her up. I think in a finish, either way, I think she could easily break value 87. Somehow, like I said, Misha is durable for the most. She just throws volume on volume on volume. She's going to smash 87 off pure volume decision. to me, this is my sneaky play potentially for DFS. My only worry is the layoff was mainly due to, having a child, congratulations. But usually, statistically, usually when the woman comes back after giving birth for the first fight, they tend to start off a little slow. That's my only concern for this fight. If Misha could be the stronger girl, maybe she could have success early because Avilia can get taken down. But I think after near the 1.5, I think Avilia could take over, absolutely let the hands fly, and I don't know. I went from sneaky play to maybe not even playing, but I'm still picking Avilia to win this fight.
Yep. I got Avila to win this fight as well, but it's not something I want to target in DFS. To me, it's probably going to end up more or less a boring 75, 80 point win to whoever wins it. So not something I really want to target, but both of us going with the favorite with Julia Avila. Next up, we got Punahele Soriano against Dustin Stoltzfus. Who you got in this one?
I'm not a fan of this guy one bit. I feel he's extremely overrated. And I called against my boy Kovalov. And I got called so many names for doing it, but that's not the point. If Stolfus can't get the takedown, his striking offense is absolutely duty water, in my opinion. And if you look at the losses for Soriano, Kovalov is looking like a good 185er. Brandon Allen is looking like, holy crap, he's potentially one win away from getting a title shot. The only loss you could say was, who was it, Maximov? But all he did was he held him. He didn't do nothing. He made him to a boring blanket. To me, that takes no skill to do. I wanted to take everything I can to pick against him, but I think Soriano is going to catch him within the first 2 rounds. I was so close going Stolfus but he really hasn't beat anybody really impressive. The only thing I will say, he should have beat Mirashar if he didn't get caught. And that would have been, a very impressive, dominant win. But with Soriano knowing that Stolfus really doesn't have a possible chin, I'm not going to say he's chinning off one KO loss, but if he's not able to get a takedown, I think he's screwed. And sooner or later, I think Soriano could get him with an uppercut and just absolutely finish him within the first 2 rounds.
All right. I'm once again against you. I'm going with another dog.
I wanted to so bad I couldn't do it.
I'll preface it by saying if Stoltzfus can't get this to the ground, he is likely going to get knocked out. Mm-hmm. That said, he does have some power. He is able to land flush. He did knock out Joe Pyfer in the Contender Series. So, I mean, he knows how to.
Arm break.
Still counted as a knockout.
Man, Joe Pyfer nowadays, you don't want it.
Yeah. So no, Soriano does not have the greatest takedown defense. It's actually dreadful and miserable and just completely terrible. So I've got Stoltzfus to avoid getting knocked out immediately and then to just completely chain takedowns and rack him up, which even if he does end up getting knocked out in the third, if he wins the first 2 rounds, he'll still have 40, 50 points and a loss.
Yeah, his price tag, boom.
So Stoltzfus is another one of my favorite dog plays.
I wanted everything in my power because I'm not a Soriano guy at all. I just like everything I thought was okay. Stolfus, you're gonna go try to take down the guy that knocked you out in 19 seconds, who kind of like overrated now. But if he showed me he had any type of decent like strikes to set up, I would have done it, but no, I can't do it.
Yeah, well, we are split on that one. I've got the dog with Stoltzfus. You've got Soriano. Next up, we got Clay Guida, the Energizer Bunny. I hate watching him fight against Joaquim Silva. And I mean, at this point in Clay's career, I don't really know how much he's got left. He beat Scott Holtzman 2 fights ago, but Holtzman's another guy who's done. And Clay Guida got smoked by Rafa Garcia last time out. So now he draws Joaquim Silva, who hasn't looked amazing, but he also hasn't looked terrible. I've got Silva by a mile. He's better everywhere except for maybe wrestling, but Guida hasn't gone to wrestling in forever. He just wants to strike. So I more or less expect this to be 15 minutes of just dumb, boring striking because Clay Guida just likes to bounce around like an Energizer Bunny now.
Yep.
Oh, but I got Silva. He could get the knockout, definitely, no doubt about it. And I'm sure a lot of people are gonna hunt for that. But I got Silva by decision.
That's my same exact what I'm leaning on. And one thing Silva needs to do, ever since even going through his own season of, I think his own tough, and even now, why the hell do you still have a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu nickname while you don't submit nobody in the UFC? You act like you're a juggernaut striker, which he does have good power. But change your nickname, please. It just makes you look so off when I'm a Jiu Jitsu nickname. Never use it and just use all hands. That bugs me a little bit, but yeah, Silva by a mile. And no, I do give Silva credit. He did fight Armin, the guy fighting in the main event we'll get to later. He chin checked him and had him rock for a second. He was almost a big spoiler of the year. But then, he got caught taken down. But I think Clay, like I said, I haven't seen him really shoot many takedowns of late. I think that he's gonna try to keep it competitive because he's getting up there in age. But I think Silva's gonna win by decision.
Yep,
And
that's
if he
pretty
wins by
good.
decision, he's not gonna do enough to, unless if he gets like 3 to 4 knockdowns from Clay, which is that possible with his power? Possibly, but the probability, I don't see it.
Yep, I agree. So both of us going with the favorite and Silva. Now we move on to the actually no, that was no Brady and Gas. No, that was the first fight of the main card. So next up we got Brady and Gastelum. And are you still riding Gastelum's train?
You know what sucks is I am a Jersey guy. Brady trains out of Jersey. Um, just the one thing that just shows is he should have caught and finished do anything he wanted to Muhammad. That just rubs me the wrong way. And afterwards, he pretty much just comes out and says, "Oh, I win that fight 9 out of 10 times." It doesn't look like 9 out of 10 times going against a guy who's primarily a boring blanket wrestler. That's not a good look. Kelvin, this is a way that he should have been here a long time ago. He should have stayed here if he had the right mindset. Like I said, middleweight, he fought the road of roads, all killers, durable as hell, always entertaining fight. And now, ever since getting back with Henry Cejudo, it seemed like Cejudo's lighting a fire over a lot of people. Calvin's. I want to see what Calvin's going to look at weigh-ins. This I know who my pick's going to be, but from what I've seen earlier during the week, his arms look good, his body looked fine. But yeah, I'm still going gas on him. For the most part, he's had good takedown defense. And I haven't really seen many people in a while able to take down Gastelum, and especially hold him.
Bobby Knuckles did 3 fights ago. What do you mean?
But that's more when he sets up the striking and they got 2 takedowns. Brady has no striking. He has power in his loops, but that's dang near about it. And like I said, I'm a Jersey guy. I love my Jersey fighters, but I'm still going Gastelum. Unless Brady can get the takedowns early, I don't. If he does, if he gets the back, I think Calvin could get submitted. But I think Calvin's takedown defense is going to be good. Him with that good camp of Cejudo, and especially if he looks good in weigh-ins, I'm fully confident he can stop takedowns. And if you're getting outstruck by Muhammad, Calvin is light years better the striker than Muhammad.
Oh, I disagree with that completely.
Calvin Gastelum,
I completely disagree with that.
Calvin has better hands than Bilal Muhammad.
Uh-uh. And I guarantee you, majority of the fucking MMA nation will completely disagree with you.
No.
Calvin does nothing but stand in the pocket and make boring decisions now. That's all that he does. Go watch his last 6 fights. What he does is he stands there with his chin like this, and he just waits. That's why he doesn't.
Primarily, if you're telling me if him and Muhammad got into a boxing fight,
but Muhammad would murder him, 100%. Wouldn't
like I said,
even be
I
close.
think Calvin. I think
that's why
Calvin's combinations could get to him.
Oh, I disagree. What combinations? The ones that he throws like 3 shots per minute? Because that's what it is. He doesn't land shit. Bilal does. Completely different. And in this case, I don't expect Brady to strike much. I think he immediately takes Gastelum down. I think something was wrong with Brady that fight. I watched it again. Something was off. And something was off in the weigh-ins. Go watch it again. Something just wasn't there. So watch the weigh-ins again for this fight. If Brady's there 100%, this Kelvin's done. He will get him down in the first round and submit him somewhere. I'm back on the Brady train. There's a reason that he was 15-0 going into that fight, and there's a reason that Gastelum is 18-8. So it's either Gastelum by boring ass decision or Brady breaks the slate with takedowns and a submission.
Okay.
I'll take Brady all day. So we are what are the odds on that? They got to be close to a pick 'em, don't they?
Last time I saw Sean Brady was like a minus 135 earlier. Last time I saw. I think Tuesday it was a pick 'em.
They're really close.
What's
Really close.
Brady got?
Minus 120 right now for most places.
Okay.
So they are super close. It's really close to a pick 'em. But after I did all my research and everything, I think Brady should be almost a 2-1 favorite. I promise. That's just how I feel about it.
Mhm.
But Gastelum could surprise. You never know. So split on that pick. I got Brady. You got Gastelum. Next up, we got Rob Font against Davison Figueiredo. And it's really, really hard to know what you're going to get from Fig now because his last 4 fights have all been against Brandon Moreno. And his last fight, he looked horrible.
That was a doctor stoppage. I think we went to the eye.
I don't know if, he just wasn't ready for the fight, but man, he, from the very first second of the fight, he just didn't look like Figueiredo. So judging this fight, that's what I'm going to base this one off of. Is Fig isn't there anymore. Rob Font got his ass handed to him by Corey Sandhagen.
That was the most boring freaking fight.
But Sandhagen, he had the game
do what you gotta do to win.
That's the smart thing to do. Come and play your opponent's weakness. And Figueiredo doesn't really have a weakness, but if he's losing a step, then that's a problem because Font does have a ton of volume. And that's kind of how I have this one playing out, just Font by volume-based decision.
If I would say about Figueiredo, if he had any sort of weakness, sometimes it's cardio on and off.
Oh, that's fair. But it's only 15 minutes.
Yeah. I'm actually on Davison. Like, none against Rob Font. I'm a Rob Font guy.
I'm actually really surprised.
I was all over him against Adrian Yanez. He chin checked the living shit out of that cocky kid. I just think, Davison, he's gonna, I think his speed's gonna come up with him. He already, I don't know, I've seen how his frame is. I don't know how he made 125, even knowing how short he is.
Nope, I agree.
So completely. I think maybe his cardio could be a lot better in this fight.
Or it could be worse.
I hope it's not worse. That'd be absolute frightening. I think there's a chance that, if you're telling me he can't get Rob Font done, or not done, down, I think Rob Font's going to piece him up for 15 minutes.
Yep, I agree.
And I don't know if he scores high with it, but he's just going to win a 15-minute, probably a 29-28 decision. But if Biggie can mix in takedowns, which he does have good time takedowns, and he is easily the better grappler, and if he gets on Rob Font's back, you may want to be holding on to something.
Nope, I agree.
Because there's a probability he can get a rear naked choke. He can get any type of guillotine. He can go for any submission he wants if he gets him on the ground.
Yeah, like I said,
one of the more dangerous guys, even in the division right now.
Absolutely. Like I said, I was basing it off of how Fig looked last fight. If he comes out and looks like the Davison Figueiredo that we know, I'd be on him all day.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite dogs. I'm confident. Because, look, I just don't like, because, I'm a Rob Font guy. He took that fight short notice, looking for the opportunity and a bigger jump up. But I just didn't like how easily taken down Corey, who's mainly a longer striker, was able to take him down with no type of remorse. Easy type trips that pretty much JV wrestlers get.
Yep.
If that's happening, there's a chance with one takedown. If Figgy takes him down properly and gets it back, it could be over.
Yeah, definitely. Because Sandhagen's not much of a grappler. He's more
that's what
wrestling.
That's what made me. I almost picked Font. I was watching that fight before I called you and before you hit me back up. I was like, no, if Figgy gets him down, this fight's not lasting long.
Probably, but yeah, it's definitely a fight to watch for. Definitely a good GPP fight. But yep. So we're split on that one. I've got Font. You got Figueredo. Next up, we have Jalen Turner and
Ooh.
Bobby Green.
You want to go over what we talked about with that?
I will let you go first and go ahead and mention how Turner.
So Jalen Turner took this fight on short notice. Do you want to go over what everything happened, or should I do it?
We can just do it quick.
Okay,
Basically,
sum it
Turner
up.
just
Turner
is
pretty
not
much
there.
said that he was not fully confident in wanting to take this fight. He was not expecting. He pretty much said how the UFC ideally forced him. He was cutting a lot. He's cutting a lot of weight, so I'm curious on how, even on a full camp, there's times where he can't even make 155. I don't know how the hell with this type of short notice he's gonna make 155, and I'm kind of shocked that there's no type of agreement as of now of hey, let's do a catch weight of like 160 or 162 and a half or any type of weight call limit yet. If they, well, I'll say right now, don't be shocked if this fight doesn't happen because of Turner. I hope I'm wrong because I do want to see this fight happen. Good young prospect against older vet who somehow woke up and now is on a win streak. So I'm going Bobby Green. I'm going and I'll let you let that break down when your turn comes. I'm taking it as this. If if Jalen looks like absolute shit and somehow the fight still happens, I think Jalen has within 2.5 to 3 minutes of him having to absolutely find a way to catch Bobby Green. And for the most part, Bobby Green's defense is usually up to par, except when Dober caught him. That's about it. But I think there's a chance if, and I mean this with a live bet too. If Jalen Green comes out hot and he does not finish Bobby Green, and you can get Bobby Green at plus money, submit that bet. So I think Bobby Green is going to come out and let his hands fly. And you know what he could also do? He could potentially shoot takedowns with how bad lately Jalen Turner's defense has been looking for takedowns. So that's another sneaky potential play why I'm playing Bobby Green. It wouldn't shock me if he gets a takedown, potentially get the ground and pound. And hey, he's shown sneaky submission against Tony Ferg, which I never would have thought that in a million years. But look, but Tony Ferg's done, even though we'll
Yeah.
get to that. I'll talk to you after this video about that, but no, we're not going to talk about it now. But I like Bobby Green. I think Bobby Green could catch him somewhere in round 2 when Jalen does slow down.
So I got something to spitball at you for that.
Okay.
What if Turner is saying all that just as a ploy? Because he is
He
taking a shot.
looks like shit right now.
He could easily fake that. Anybody, any of those guys could.
He could have.
Oh,
Hey,
the weigh-ins tomorrow will tell a lot.
yes.
So
That's why I was like, look, this right now I got Bobby Green. If Jalen Turner comes out and makes everyone look in the media look stupid as hell, and he looks smooth and he looks shredded, then there's a good probability within the first under 1.5 he's going to catch Bobby Green somewhere.
definitely possible. But
Like,
I am taking Jalen Turner, but that is very prefaced by how he looks tomorrow.
Yep.
So it's very tough to call this fight simply because of that reason. It is short notice. He did say those things in the media press conference, whether they're true or not. It's only him in his corner now. He said that he was forced to take this fight. That could also not be true.
No, knowing Dana, he won't force nobody to fight. That I think that's a
And,
little bit of bluff.
getting into Bobby Green's head is definitely a good idea. This would be a good way to do it because he is short notice. So it's hard to say. Keep an eye on the weigh-ins. But I'm on Turner. If he looks bad in the weigh-ins, my pick will be Green because that's just how it should be. But that's where I'm at for now. So I got Turner, you got Green. Next up, we have the main event with Benil Dariush and Arman Tsarukyan. And like we have already mentioned and talked about together, I believe this is the downfall of Dariush. He is still a good wrestler. He still has decent striking, but Tsarukyan is the young dog. He has, I mean, this fight has title implications. It does. Dariush got his ass kicked by Oliveira. I think Tsarukyan is somebody that can keep up with Oliveira. I really do. And I fully expect him to just have his way with Dariush in this fight. I think it's going to be chain takedown after takedown after takedown. This could be one of those fights where Tsarukyan just kind of lays on him, goes for submission attempts, adds up the strikes, control time, all that. And he could have, upwards 10, 15 minutes of control time in this fight and score 130, 140 points.
Besides outside of one fight, I've been on the Tsarukyan train with you because I'm a bigger Gamrot guy. But Tsarukyan is just like this newer breed of lightweights. And if he keeps developing the way he is, I think he's the only guy right now that could potentially give Islam that loss. Even though he fought Islam the first fight, short notice debut, he had his moments even in that fight, which was very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And once I saw that, I'm like, that kid's going to be good. I think Armin, like I said, I remember I told you, what if this fight's like Dariush and Gamrot? But the thing with that, Armin is such the better wrestler, not wrestler, the overall striker than Gamrot. I think the wrestling is evenish for them too, but at least I like at least Tsarukyan's style of chain. But you can say, oh, but look at his takedown accuracy. I'm like, if anyone knows anything about chain wrestling, it doesn't matter of the percentage you get on your takedowns, is of when you get your takedown. Then work with your takedowns.
Yep.
I actually do agree with that. I don't care. Armin can go like 6 for 24 if all I care. But the control is going to help. The damage. I think Dariush is, I hate to say it, I told you before, I think this is where his downfall is going to continue to go. And similar to Tony, he was one fight away from getting that actual title fight. He lost. Now look at Tony now, unfortunately. I think the similar road's going to happen with Dariush. And I could probably see, even if I think somewhere between round 3 to 4, maybe Dariush gets tired. I think Armin could get a TKO or submission, but I hope this fight goes all 5. I want all takedowns, all control. And as you said, at first I was like, why do I not play this fight? Then I'm like, okay, what if Dariush does have similar to Gamrot? But I'm thinking, even if that happens, Armin is the better striker, good power. He's not going to score 130 or 140, that type of striking style, but 3 to 4 rounds, he can still pay off 92 with that. But now, the more I'm thinking, I think he is going to chain. He's going to look for control, pretty much put all his muscle on top of Dariush, get him tired out from the bottom. And I am hoping for a 5-round decision win. And as you said, that's going to be 15, maybe even more possibly for control, depending. But I'll probably go for your number 15. And then he's absolutely going to cruise value at 92. So pretty much he's definitely, we can probably agree, definitely you start your cash, and definitely your GPPs with Armin, I would say. Because I think Armin could easily going to pay that off with no problem.
Yep, I agree. So both of us going with the favorite in Tsarukyan. And that wraps up this card. I mean, we had quite a lot of dogs on this card, so we don't really need to go over that. Pick one. No. And as far as DFS, there's I think this is going to be a high scoring slate.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot of finishes. There's going to be a lot of craziness. So good for a few of these fights, you kind of just have to pick your side and roll with it.
I agree.
But next week we have I think it was
another fight night card. I think
it is another fight night card. I think it's Song.
Oh, it's Roundtree and Anthony Smith.
They're not the main event though.
Oh, they're co-main.
It's Song Yadong and Chris Gutierrez, which I believe is Gutierrez's first 5-round in the UFC.
Yeah.
So that should be, it's actually a pretty good card if you look it over, completely. But it's not fully built yet, so who knows what's going to happen, even though it's a week away. You got anything else to add to this one,
man? Usually from what I'm noticing, at least from these fight night type cards, when they're not in the Apex, when they're actually, fight night of Texas or fight night where, it seems like we get more finishes on those type of cards. I think the fighters do get the energy from the crowd and they just let it go out even more. I am expecting a high scoring slate in this one. I do expect a bunch of finishes. Pick your dogs wisely because Drake had his own, I had my own. And hey, if you ever have questions about why we feel about individual dogs, comment box down there. I said Jake, good Lord. Drake will probably end up using our main account. I'll answer on my YouTube account. I always see them. So don't be afraid to ask questions. And let's definitely cash. And I definitely want to cash for my birthday this weekend. That'd be very nice.
Absolutely. So we will catch you guys next week. As always, we appreciate you watching, and till next time.